Hey everyone, welcome again to the latest installment of The Way It Is. And I'm your host, as always, Luca Andolfato at Team Luca First at Remax Service First Realty. And if you like what you see, make sure you ring the bell, share, do all that kind of social media stuff that you're supposed to do. So, we're in January 2023, and holidays came and went, and the new year came and went. And Ben said, "Hey, Luca, everybody does resolutions and everything like that. We should have a podcast about New Year's resolutions and everything." So I said, "Okay, sure." I said, "I think I know the perfect person to talk about New Year's resolutions and fitness and keeping resolutions." So I am ecstatic to have back my daughter, Michaela Henderson, who is a registered dietitian nutritionist in Halifax. She works both in the private sector and works for the University of St. Mary's, right? And does a lot of the nutrition for several of the sports teams there. And in her private world, she's a dietitian slash nutritionist at a coastal well fitness or wellness place, which is like a multidisciplinary place,
Mhm.
right? That has therapy, all different ancillary therapies and things like that. So she meets a lot of people that reach out online and everything. We're looking for nutrition, diets, da 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 da. So anyway, hey Michaela, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing today?
Good, good. And we're late. We're recording late on Wednesday night, and the Canadian juniors are playing because it's 8 o'clock Michaela's time and 7 o'clock our time. So we appreciate Michaela taking the time to do this. So yeah, Michaela, you've done this now for a couple of years or more now, and you do people's nutrition and diets and everything. So what's what's the uptick been like then in the requests or the inquiries for I want to change, I need a diet, I need something?
Yeah, I would say my schedule is fully booked for at least the next 3 to 4 weeks. So we're definitely, January is the busiest time with all of our New Year's resolutions, people wanting to start fresh, which can be, this can be a really great time to make a change if you're looking to do that. But also not a time that we have to, put a lot of pressure on ourselves or have to, change our bodies or different things like that. But the new year can be a really great time to reflect and maybe start to make some of those changes if we're up for it.
So you're saying you're getting brand new people that just have never done anything before. Now that all of a sudden, boom, January 1st, 2023 hit, and they said I've got to do something. Something sparked them into wanting to do some change, and those that are in some kind of stream, but just not getting the results obviously that they want or thinking that they need to do something else, right?
Yeah, yeah, a mix of both for sure.
And so what's the immediate need? What's the immediate goal that you see sort of from is it weight loss? Is that the immediate sort of 90 to 8% or like what's the percent what would you be your guess percentage wise of the people that just say I need to lose weight?
Yeah, I would say for my practice in January, I would say the majority of new clients are people trying to change their body in some way, whether that's lose weight or gain weight, depending on what goals might be, add muscle in the gym or something like that. So I would say, yeah, a majority in January is about body change for sure.
Okay. So body change. I mean, so there, you because you do personal fitness training as well, and so you have that capacity and those skill sets and insights. Um, Programs that you recommend. So you've because obviously it starts from a nutritional foundation in terms of what are they eating now, how are they eating it, when are they eating it, to this is what you should start to try to eat or incorporate, and then this is what you should try to incorporate vis-a-vis some form of fitness or exercise.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's definitely great to take a two-pronged approach. I do like to take that in my practice, encouraging, physical activity. My primary focus is definitely the nutrition work, so we do mostly focus on that, but encouraging physical activity is also part of my practice, being a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor. But I always like to remind people that we got to start slow. So, jumping into a brand new fitness program and maybe a brand new way of eating and a whole bunch of lifestyle change all at once is usually what leads to all those people dropping off of their resolutions, come the end of January. So it really is all about starting slow and incorporating sustainable behavior change. So that way, come January 2024, you're still incorporating all of these, healthful changes into your life.
And is that, I mean, is that the biggest reason or the main crux of why people fall off? Is that because do they go in with just naive or unrealistic expectations and they think in 30 days they're going to get the body that they see on social media or that they see in TV? Excuse me, and not knowing that this is a process, it's long term, it's short term pain for long term gain, all that kind of stuff. Is that essentially it,
Yeah,
or?
I think it's like definitely one of the reasons for sure that a lot of times, as a society, we're very instant gratification driven. And if we don't, see results within the first couple weeks or within the first week, something like that, then we might not be as apt to continue. I think a lot of it has to do with and whether it's January or any time when someone's trying to make a change, is that we do, because of what we see on social media, we just see all these kind of like highlight reels, and we're kind of told that we need to do everything from A to Z, and we just really can't do all of those things at one time. It's just not realistic. We all lead really busy lives. People have kids and work and social lives that you're trying to maintain. So it's really just not feasible to implement, 5, 10 changes all at once. So that's what I find is really the biggest thing. So the key to successful lifestyle change and behavior change is starting slow and figuring out why you want to make a change, having an important kind of why, and then figuring out what your barriers might be. So that's a lot of, the work that I do with people too is, maybe the goal is to lose weight, or maybe the goal is to manage your high blood pressure better. So we need to start by adding more vegetables into your day or something like that. Well, it's one thing to just say, okay, I'm going to eat more vegetables, but what's actually a realistic, attainable goal for you, with trying to drive the kids to hockey and, work 12-hour shift and that type of thing. So actually putting, realistic and achievable goals into place with strategies on how to do that. So, okay, I'm going to add more veggies into my day, but I'm going to start with 3 times a week at dinner because I'm going to have a pre-made salad kit in my fridge, right? So it's about being really focused and specific and just realistic with what you can handle, and then you see success and you start to build on that, right? So
And I've said this a lot to people because people have, everybody looks to someone for an answer or some kind of an opinion all the time, and never never in the source that they should be asking, never the experts in the field. They always ask the person that does their hair or something else or whatever, in terms of, or cleans their car or whatever, what they should do. But you just touched on something that's been a pet peeve of mine, and one of the reasons why I think people don't eat nutritionally, or at least as nutritionally as they should, I guess, in terms of diet. They don't know how to grocery shop. Like, they don't know what foods, at least as bare necessities, to buy at the grocery store. And I guess, now that we live in a world of, crazy inflated food prices, that becomes even more important because there's too many people wasting so much money on the wrong calories, I guess, right? Maybe you can speak to that a bit.
yeah, I think, grocery shopping is definitely a skill for sure. I mean, we all do it, we all have to do it, but being able to shop in a way that then you can use the level of food skills that you have is kind of, they go hand in hand, I guess. So I think one thing that people need to remember is even just doing a little bit of planning. It doesn't mean you have to prep, most of my clients, we don't even work on, doing a full meal prep for your whole week, because that just takes too much time and is too much pressure and too much stress. But even something as simple as just writing out on a calendar what you're going to have for dinner for 5 days of the week. So that way, when you go to the store, you can at least get all the things that you need. So that way it's not like tonight, Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, and you're trying to figure out, oh, okay, well, I have food, but I don't have anything that I can put together, or, I don't know how to kind of incorporate these different ingredients. And because food is so expensive, we definitely don't want to be wasting it right now. Because, if you spend $8 on lettuce, we don't want to have to
Yeah.
throw it out. So being able to kind of just do a little bit of planning before you go to the store can make the world of a difference. And it doesn't have to be anything overly complicated, like just thinking of half your plate trying to be a vegetable, whether that's fresh, frozen, or canned, and, a quarter protein of, animal or plant-based, and then a quarter of some form of a whole grain, and just using that as an easy baseline to kind of go shopping through your week, and watching the sales for sure right now with inflation. So yeah.
Well, but and that's where I think, and I'm not trying to disparage society, I guess, or the people in it, but I guess I'm fortunate. I learned from Nani and stuff in terms of some skills are in the kitchen and everything like that. But and you and I watching the Food Network, so we picked up some skills that way. But there's a lot of people that just are overwhelmed, or just that they find it daunting, and they don't think that they think it's easier to do the drive-through than to come home, open the fridge, and prep a meal. And I know I can do 10 meals for somebody for sure, easily, in less than half an hour from start to finish with whatever's in your fridge. And I think that's a big piece of what's missing for people, right? Because they don't want to try, and they don't know how to try. They don't even know how to start, right? In terms of what goes with what should I cook? When does it, all of that, right? So, I mean, everybody pushes the diet and the weight loss, but nobody's pushing the sort of educational piece of this, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think, nutrition and as a dietitian, like the healthy eating and everything goes beyond like the least of what I do in a day is make, meal plans for people, right? The most of it is that education piece on, what is going to be maybe healthful and healthy to eat, and, taking a moderation approach, and then also just that food skills piece, right? And budgeting and shopping, like that is all part of, taking a holistic approach to health and wellness. And the food skills piece is definitely something that, as a society, we've lost a little bit for sure. And I don't know, there's lots of reasons why that is: lack of home economics in schools, and, busy both parents working and all of that type of thing.
Well,
And
and
being
that's
able to
just it.
work with it.
Some of those behaviors are learned, right? And there's, well, yourself, you used to go, we did Wendy's quite a bit, even when we were working, and we did prepare some good meals, but we had to, default to the odd drive-through every now and again for sure, because it just had to fit in. But I think that's learned behavior, and I think you're right. I think it was a generation there where there's just some parents with the double, two jobs and kids and all the extracurricular. There was just no time to pick it up or to learn it or to even make time for it. Get what's the I didn't want to lose this question. What's the demographics of the people that you're seeing? Is it all over the map? Is there a core demographic? What are the demographics that are coming to you?
Yeah, so I have a bit of a wide range. So, in my private practice, I do see a lot of you know, general population, so to speak. So, whether that's, individuals that are around middle age looking to figure out how, to help themselves and also support their family and that type of thing. How can they ensure that they are instilling these really positive lessons for their kids, so that way they are also learning. So I do see a lot of that, but where I do have the specialty in sport nutrition, and I have really kind of pushed that area of my business. I also, the other large part of my work is with a lot of athletes of varying ages, but pretty much from athletes from like 12 to, I guess for more competitive, maybe 12 to 30. And then I also have a really great group of athlete clients that are more, again, maybe 30 plus. So maybe not considered as competitive. And I'm air quoting here, but
Mhm.
that they are still, athletes very much in their own right, whether it's, running races or competing in different, weightlifting or just with their own personal kind of goals. So more that kind of high performance aspect. So yeah.
A balance between male, female, gender at all, or is it equal, or is it have weighted one way or the other?
Yeah, I'd say it would be pretty equal. I would say maybe for our general population, it's a little bit more on the female side of things. I guess that kind of makes an intuitive sense that it might be more heavily female. But for the athletes, I would say it's pretty equal, kind of male and female, and all sorts of different sports. So yeah.
Hmm. And obviously, this is your field of expertise, but obviously, people with these resolutions and everything, diet is like the key building block, right? That's where you start, right? It's not just going into Planet Fitness and paying $10 and going on a treadmill and an elliptical for half an hour a day or an hour a day, right? That's not going to do you any good if you're going to drive right to the Starbucks and get your quadruple whipped frappuccino and then go through your drive-through or whatever, right? I mean, it's got to start with diet and nutrition, correct?
Yeah, I really like to, promote the nutrition first for sure. I like to take a holistic approach. So if you getting into the gym for 30 minutes a couple times a week is where you need to start, then absolutely that's where you need to start. And that's perfect if that's going to be what works for you. But we would obviously encourage at some point when you are ready to take some steps on maybe changing what you're eating or just taking a peek to see if there is any way that you felt you could, improve, then nutrition is definitely going to be a huge base of support for not only, like weight management and weight loss or anything like that, which are kind of the more common resolutions, but also just for prevention and management of chronic disease, right? So just like long-term health, nutrition really is, a key piece paired with exercise, of course, but nutrition is definitely a key piece for a lot of things. So
So, I mean, obviously over the holidays and now in the first part of January, both media, like social media, TV, I mean, it's just inundated with all of the weight loss ads, and the Pelotons bump their ads back up. But on social media, it's just ridiculous now. All of these like shred, drink this and shred, and that thing they keep pushing from the Dragon's Den or the Sharks, whatever, Shark Tank, where you throw something into a glass and you see this person's fat just like dissolve or something like that. Like, obviously, that peoples are so desperate for immediate change that they just grab onto these things. And is there anything out there that's even effective, or like what's the sense of that? Like, I mean, because that's a scary world out there. There's a lot of stuff out there.
yeah, I wouldn't quote me on this, but I think the supplement industry is like $1 billion industry, right? And there's little to no regulation on that industry. And now with social media, there's vague advertising guidelines. There are guidelines, but a bit more vague for sure. I think all of those ads are, kind of the bane of my existence, especially this time of year. I honestly just the basics is really what we need to focus on. A supplement is meant to supplement what you're doing, right? So if you're missing your balance on your plate, then, taking all of these supplements is not actually going to do anything. And I would heavily caution people, really any supplement that is claimed to help you lose weight or to do all of these miraculous things is likely too good to be true and potentially dangerous. Like I had mentioned, like there's little to no regulation in that area. So a lot of claims can be made and a lot of things can be put in products that can be unsafe, especially if you maybe have any pre-existing health conditions. So I definitely would caution people when trying supplements and just recommend, your nutrition basics, general healthy eating, balance and moderation is going to be the best way to, start your weight loss journey if that's what you're going for, or just your overall improvements in health and wellness for sure.
And so when you have these initial onboarding meetings with these people and you sort of, like you say, you're going through the reasons why and for, and I mean, at the end of the day, do you get them to sign some kind of, I don't know, commitment, or like to try to hold them accountable or anything? Because otherwise, right? Or I mean, what keeps people, because we know human nature, and everybody goes into it knowing that, thinking that it's easy, or that they, because somebody else does it. And then they realize how hard it is. And there's the rub, is that it's actually hard work. It really takes commitment. It takes an effort. It takes thought. It takes forethought. You got to plan a meal. You got to think about groceries. You got to think, so, and then not to say that, is hours and hours a day, but there's a process to it, and there's a commitment to it, right? It's got to be top of mind. So do you do that? Do you get people to sign something that makes them accountable, or at least for a certain period of time, or?
Yeah, I mean, I maybe not sign something, but I do take I guess that's kind of one of the big benefits to seeing a dietitian is the whole accountability piece. And not only are you getting actual evidence-based information that's actually going to be helpful, you are actually getting that whole accountability. So usually what we do in an initial assessment is, we have a really big conversation, obviously a million and one questions about kind of health and lifestyle and all of that stuff, but having a really big conversation about kind of what brings them in to actually see me, what brings them in today, what is their why, and what are their kind of overarching goals. I find that if we can shift away from a weight centric approach, so okay, you want to lose 10 pounds, but why? Like, why would your life actually be different if you lost 10 pounds? And if you can really kind of uncover those reasons, maybe it's, I could get up the stairs easier and I have a multi-level home, or I want to play with my grandkids. And being able to keep those at the forefront does make things a lot easier, because you're actually doing it for, I don't want to, I don't want to say a good or a bad reason, but you're doing it for a meaningful reason, right? Our
Mm-hmm.
lives aren't going to change if we lose 10, 20 pounds. Like, that's actually not going to make us feel any better, right? It's going to be all those unrelated, unweight attached kind of outcomes that actually make the difference in our lives. So, having a big conversation about the why, sometimes I do encourage, depending on the person, encourage them to write that down, post it on their fridge, or put it in their phone, so that way they can refer back if they are finding that that it is, a difficult process. And then also part of the approach is really, just being really realistic and actually setting goals. So my clients leave the office with 1, 2, 3, again, depending on the person and depending on what we're working on, goals that are, SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So that way they have a tally of, okay, this is what I'm accomplishing over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to eat vegetables at dinner twice a week by having my pre-made salad kit. And, I'm going to check it off on my calendar when I do it. So we have really specific goals that then it's just easy, right? That's how we actually build the habit, and really take
Mm-hmm.
that it is still hard work, but it makes it less hard, right?
Yeah, yeah. No. Well, you got to form a habit for sure. You got to make it part of your daily routine. That's interesting, because you're right. Because most people, to break it down in those sort of minute pieces, right? I mean, that's important, because obviously people need to think that they're accomplishing something, or at least they've done something and can check it off to make sure that they can continue on the path. So I guess, and not to cast a shadow over all of this positivity, but what statistically, given, from where you started, and let's say, somebody came into you last January, is there anybody still with you, or what's the drop off rate? What's the attrition, or what's the percentages in terms of those that quote unquote succeed or stay with it versus those that sort of fall off?
Yeah, I guess it's hard to sort of put a number on it because everyone does have different goals. So, from last January, I wouldn't necessarily have all of the same clients because, I've discharged a lot of them because we've maybe reached their goal, or, we were doing, different things. So I don't know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I would say a lot of my clients succeed in their
Yeah.
goals. But yeah, and it is like hard to say because each person is going to need to see you for really varying amounts of time. Like you might be seeing a dietitian for a month or two, but it also might be, several years. It really just depends on you as an individual and really what your kind of overarching end goals are.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess, because I don't want to keep you because it's late and I know you haven't had dinner yet. So what, I guess if you were going to say to someone, right, who's listens to this and says, I've been thinking about making I want to make a change. And I guess what 1, 2, 3 key things or whatever that they need to take away to say, to start the process, to stay on track, or to like fulfill something, right? To make it worthwhile.
Yeah, so I would say, take 10 minutes to reflect on, what you would like to see from yourself over the year, or what you feel would make your life better. I would encourage people to shift away from weight focused goals. So, this January, let's try not to focus so much on having to change our body. We don't need to be focusing on that weight centric. Like, let's just focus on, okay, I want to feel like I have more energy by the summer. Like, that is a lot more helpful. So I would say shift focus, take a little bit of time to reflect, and then get back to basics. So if you are feeling that, okay, nutrition is an area that I'd like to make some lifestyle changes, just focus on getting back to basics. Don't worry about fad diets. Don't worry about apps. Don't worry about powders and different products. Just get back to basics, figure out foods that you like, how you can incorporate those, focus on your fruits and veggies, right? And just really get back to your basics, I would say would be the best place to start.
Okay. Well, and that's pretty sound advice. I think that speaks to a lot of things in a lot of areas. So that's,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. So, okay. Well, thanks, Michaela. Thanks for taking the time. And yeah, that's really good, positive stuff for anybody that's thinking of making a New Year's resolution or trying to keep a New Year's resolution. So,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right.
And use your support system. Don't hesitate to reach out to people. Book in with dietitians, trainers, whatever. Use your family as support. All of that makes the whole process a lot more helpful. So,
Well, you do. Yeah, you can't do it by yourself. You definitely need encouragement and you definitely need support. There's no question about it, for sure. Because there will be stumbles. There always will, right? Nobody's perfect all of the time or anything like that. And everybody's entitled to a cheat day or a crappy day or whatever day and stuff like that. So, yeah. All right. Good. All right. Well, thanks, honey. Appreciate it.
no problem. All right. Bye.
Bye.